Hello and welcome to this live chat session. Thank you for joining. Doubt, Gabre, Michael, AG123, Johnny, Milo, Turtle, Tizabi, Peace and Love, Zala, Daniel, Tedros, Gabre Maskell, Lemlem, Kahase, Henry, Sibat, Callison, DJ, Shomie, University, Tromso, Christian, Parvini, Amira, Maus, Takle Birhan, Berhe, HM, Eden Ibrahim, Ashinaf Ibrahim. Thank you for joining. Thank you, all of you. A busy day was today. Beg your pardon. Several things have been happening. And developments are happening at a very fast pace now, viewers. For the last 48 hours, several important developments have taken place. Tedros says Deborah Sinha will the next fighting. Where do you think TDF will head after Addis? No, I'm asking before Addis. If TDF succeeds in consolidating its control of Dessie and Kambolcha, where will it head from here? TDF has four options. We'll have a look at these options one by one. What's your input? What do you think where TDF will move if it takes control of Dessie and Kambolcha? Because Ethiopian government spokesperson just a few minutes ago issued a statement. He says that ENDF, Ethiopian government, are in control of Dessie. So far, officially, Ethiopian government has not acknowledged that it has lost Dessie. And some sources say that there is still some presence of ENDF in Dessie, though large-scale withdrawal of ENDF from Dessie has been reported. So we are just thinking about, we're discussing a scenario. If TDF takes control of Dessie and Kambolcha, what next? Where will it move from these two places? Though, again, I'm saying TDF has not taken Kambolcha. It's consolidating its control of Dessie. Henny says, we will march to Addis for sure. Daniel says, if it fully controls Dessie, Kambolcha, I would think they will march south to Addis. Someone says, Habro. Where is Habro? I think it has gone past Habro. Minghorn says, I think they'll move on Addis because they advanced from Mekelle to Dessie in 3 months, which is 370 kilometers. So he's saying basically that they'll move towards Addis. Debre Birhan, Sam Michael says, south of Kambolcha, Habro. Nitin Varia says, Sajid Bhai, game is over for Abiy. Debretsion, the PM of Grand Alliance. Oh, you are going too fast. You are going too fast. Even if TDF managed to reach Addis, even then, who would be PM? No one knows. TDF would need allies there. Where is OLF? OLF or OLA? Casablanca says, do you see this war ending before 2022? Well, I don't know. It happens on battlefield. It depends on battlefield developments. If TDF sweeps towards Addis, it might end sooner than we are expecting. If TDF is caught here on Dessie, Kambolcha, it might go on. Callison says, why was there no fighting inside the town of Dessie? Well, Callison, that is the pattern which we have been seeing since TDF's entry in Amhara. Amhara regional forces withdrew from Alamata, Koram, then Alamata, then Kobo, then Vuldia, then Marsa, and now Dessie. So they did try to stop TDF in the outskirts of Dessie. So that they tried, I think, but in the outskirts of Dessie. So if you start fighting in Dessie, where there are tens of thousands of civilians, it means there will be large number of casualties. So both the parties will try to avoid fighting inside the city, like we saw in Vuldia, Marsa, Kobo, and other places. It could be the last resort for Amhara forces ENDF to start street fighting. But again, will people back such street fighting? So they have withdrawn. We have not seen large-scale fighting in Dessie. But have they withdrawn completely from Dessie? That we'll see in coming hours. If they start counter-offensives on TDF positions inside Dessie, it means they have not withdrawn completely. So we'll have to wait for a few hours, I think. What were the cards that Abiy has that you were referring to in the previous video? Yes, I said in the previous video that PM Abiy has some cards left which he can play. One card is obviously everyone knows about Eritrean intervention. Eritreans might attack Tigray from the north, from Badme, from Zalambasa. And second card is the least discussed card, which I believe PM Abiy can use. If TDF decides to move towards Addis Ababa, PM Abiy can use this card. And this is Oromo card. He can use this card, viewers. Not entire Oromia is behind Oromo Liberation Army. Oromia is split. And PM Abiy has a huge following in Oromia. Whether you are his supporter or opponent, but PM Abiy has a following in Oromia. Some ENDF channels are from Oromia too, and some top officials in the government are from Oromia too. And he is Oromo as well, though some people say he is half Oromo, but he can use this card. He can say that an Oromo is being removed from power. So he might try to rally Oromo support. If TDF decides to enter Oromia, if it decides to remove Abiy from power, this card could be used in coming days, you'll see, viewers. And the second card is obviously Eritrean forces. Will they intervene or not? That remains to be seen. Is TDF in full control of Dessie? We don't know, but the way ENDF are withdrawing, it means that they are not in a strong position in Dessie, that they have lost their advantage there. There might be some presence of ENDF still in Dessie, but it seems that they have lost the advantage that they had there. That is why they are leaving Dessie. Will TDF soon attack Eritrea? It won't. It will not attack Eritrea now. Rather, it will try to make defensive preparations against an Eritrea intervention. It will not. It should not. Is OLA a game changer? Yes. Now is the role of OLA. People say Oromo Liberation Army represents large number of Oromos. Oromia is behind OLA. Let's see what happens now. Will Oromia stand behind OLA or Abiy Ahmed? Now we'll see that, especially if TDF decides to enter Oromia from Amhara, then we'll see that Oromia's role, OLA's role will become very crucial. OLA has done some recruitments in the places close to Addis Ababa. It's in Amhara region as well, in Oromia Special Zone, in North Shua Zone. But the question is, from where will OLA and TDF start their offensive? What will be their target? Will they move towards Addis Ababa or to the east, towards Bahidar, Gojam, or to the west, towards Ethiopia, Djibouti road? Or will TDF move towards western Tigray while keeping its control of Dessie, Cambodia? So in my view, there are four options for TDF and OLA here. First option, much discussed, TDF decides to move towards Addis Ababa. Second option, it decides to move to the east, towards Gojam, towards Bahidar. Third option, to the west, towards Ethiopia, Djibouti road. In the last option, TDF remains in control of Dessie, Cambodia. It starts a major attack on western Tigray, which it needs. Which will happen first? That remains to be seen. Do you see OLA and TDF agreement last long after TDF? He's asking that if TDF reaches Addis Ababa, will this agreement last? Well, we don't know about the details of this agreement. It was mainly a military agreement, basically. They decided to start joint struggle, armed struggle. What did they agree politically? We don't know. How much share will OLA get in the next government if it happens? We don't know. So alliance was basically military. But now gradually they'll start talks, political negotiations as well, if they start advancing toward Addis Ababa. We must not forget that OLA was fighting in Oromia when TPLF was in power. And back then, OLA was accusing TPLF of committing atrocities against the people of Oromia. So now they're allies. They were not allies in the past. They had past grievances. TDF, it's the test of TPLF now, viewers. Has TPLF learned anything from the past? The way it ruled Ethiopia, that way of ruling Ethiopia was not very enviable. It could not make Ethiopia turn into a nation. Ethiopia remained a country with different states with very entrenched ethnic loyalties. And all states in Ethiopia, all ethnic groups in Ethiopia, especially smaller ethnic groups in Ethiopia, they had grievances against Tigray People Liberation Front. Has TDF learned a lesson? Is it willing to change its way of ruling Ethiopia? Before that, another question. Is TPLF interested in Addis or it wants independence? If it wants independence, then there is no question of alliance between OLA and TDF, political alliance. Then obviously TPLF will have a separate country, Tigray. My understanding is that TPLF has its eyes on Addis Ababa. People do not agree with me, especially Tigray supporters. But I have this position that TPLF is interested in taking Addis Ababa. It wants to be back in power in Addis. Independence of Tigray is an option. Some voices in TPLF, in TDF, they are in support of independent Tigray, but not all the voices, especially TPLF leaders, TDF channels. Why would they restrict themselves to just Tigray when they can rule entire Ethiopia? But now this time they'll have to make adjustments. They cannot take solo flight like they did in the past. They'll have to take other ethnic groups on board, especially Oromos, largest ethnic group in Ethiopia. Someone is saying, Sajid, stop ignoring my question, please. I'm receiving so many questions, it's impossible to respond to all the questions. Is Dessie under full control? I responded to it just a few minutes ago that we'll have to wait for a few hours. Ethiopian National Defense Force, Amhara forces have lost the advantage which they had in Dessie. The moment TDF took control of mountainous areas to the west and east of Dessie, ENDF lost advantage here. After that, it was just a matter of hours for TDF to enter Dessie. It happened, you see. Almost 2 days ago, TDF took control of mountainous places to the east and west, and now TDF is in Dessie. Dessie is in mountains to the east, west, there are mountains. So it's almost impossible to hold on to Dessie if you have lost the high places. So that is why I don't think ENDF Amhara forces holding on to Dessie. If they try to do so, civilians could be in danger. We could see combat in urban combat. We could see street fighting. So, being a professional army, I think ENDF will withdraw. It is withdrawing from Dessie towards Kambolcha to keep their civilians safe, to keep their strength, whatever is left, safe as well, to keep it unharmed. Have OLA and TDF joined in Dessie? No, there is no OLA in Dessie. OLA is somewhere close to Kambolcha. Now there is a very strong likelihood that OLA and TDF will join hands. In Kambolcha, after going past Kambolcha, it'll be easy for TDF and OLA to start joint operations. What kind of strategies Abiy could use once after Dessie and Kambolcha become under control? Yes, important question. If TDF takes control of Dessie and Kambolcha, what can PM Abiy do? PM Abiy will have to use Oromo card, I believe that. Only thing, Eritreans might not be interested in second intervention. So if they're not, then only thing left for PM Abiy is to use Oromo card. He'll have to mobilize Oromos, his Oromo supporters. Will it happen? Can it happen? That we'll have to wait to see. Do you think this war will end soon? If TDF moves towards Addis, it enters Addis, it will end very soon. But if it stopped at Dessie and Kambolcha, then it could go on. So, but I would say there is still a very stereotypical sort of proverb that there is many a slip between the cup and the lip. Still long way to go for TDF to reach Addis Ababa. It's a long way to go, viewers. Do you have military background? I have background of law enforcement. I have worked in intelligence agencies. I have worked in law enforcement agencies. I have planned operations. So I have some experience as well. Secondly, it's my fifth war. Perhaps the only person covering this war who has experience of covering 5 wars is Sajid. That is why I am understanding it, the way it's heading, the way developments are unfolding. It's not difficult for me to understand this war. Why do you think TDF is not in control of Dessie yet, Sajid? Because Dessie is a big city. Dessie has hundreds of thousands of residents. You need time to clear. There might be some pockets of resistance in Dessie. So you should not jump to conclusions. Just wait a little, I think. Yani Musica said, Sajid is the best. You are the best. You people, I learn from you. All day I read your comments, believe me. Your emails, your messages, your comments, even hateful comments, insults as well. I don't reciprocate, don't retaliate. I learn from you people. I can understand the frustration. I can understand the entrenched ethnic loyalties, which sometimes make us blind and we are not able to analyze situations impartially. It happens. And people will have to start thinking beyond these barriers. I call them barriers. These ethnic loyalties are barriers. Think beyond these barriers. If you want to understand what's happening in Ethiopia, if you want to improve your country, if you want your region, your country to make progress, please think beyond these ethnic barriers. You'll easily understand other person's point of view as well. Someone is asking about can he email me? Yes, of course you can. Sajid672000 is my ID, which is given in description section of each and every video. Secondly, viewers, I have decreased the membership fee on Patreon. If you want to support this channel, now you can easily support it. There were 3 slabs, 3 tiers, $30, $50 and $100 per month. Then some viewers contacted me. They said, Sajid, it's too much. You need to lower this fees. So I have not decreased it to $10 per month. So whoever wants to support this channel, he can visit Patreon. The link is in description section of each and every video. The link is in community section of this channel as well. There you can subscribe, you can be a member, you can support this channel. How do you find this war vis-a-vis other wars you covered? Yes, what is the difference between this war and other wars? I have seen large number of civilian casualties in this war, ethnic massacres from Maikadra, Aksom, Chena, Kobo, Gelikoma. I have seen several ethnic civilian massacres in this war, which I did not see in other wars, like in Libya, in Azerbaijan, Armenia war, in Turkey, Syria war, in Afghanistan war. Secondly, one war is being fought on the battlefield, and the other is being fought on Twitter, on YouTube, on Facebook. So digital war is also being fought. Both the sides have planted hundreds, thousands of accounts which are spreading misinformation, disinformation, I would say. So now wars will be fought not only on the battlefield but also on social media platforms. It's a new thing. And thirdly, this is the war in which a country colluded with a neighboring country against its own people. I have this consistent position that collusion with Eritrea is the biggest stain on PM Abiy's political character. He made a big mistake, viewers. I never saw a country in previous 5 wars, a country coordinating with a neighboring country against its own people. That's different from other wars. And last difference, I would say, is that TDF has proven that it has method. It knows how to fight on this terrain. It had no heavy weapons, no air power. It was under a siege. It's still under a siege. They were almost empty-handed. But an empty-handed army managed to get out of Tigray. It has reached Dessie, Cambodia. We are discussing its advance, likely advance towards Addis Ababa, towards Ethiopia, Djibouti road, towards Bahirdar, Gojam. Empty-handed group of fighters. They have managed to reach. No doubt that in terms of strategy, TDF has outmaneuvered ENDF and Amhara forces. TPLF works with Egypt and Sudan. Why are you missing that? No, I don't think that Egypt is providing any military support to TPLF. I don't agree with that. Yes, a Sudanese soil might be in use, Sudan might be involved to some extent. Even we haven't seen any large-scale interference from Sudan into this war. We haven't seen that. Sudan has its own problems. TDF did it on its own. You'll have to admit that. People say US is backing TDF. US is giving satellite support to TDF. Sudan is backing. Egypt is backing. Well, you'll have to admit that TDF has outsmarted Ethiopian National Defense Force. It has outsmarted regional forces, regional forces. Why? Because you Ethiopian leaders made a grave mistake by involving Eritrea. By involving Eritrea, you sent a message. This is war between Tigray and Ethiopia. So entire Tigray stood behind TDF. The morale which TDF has, it's missing in other forces which are fighting TDF. Because you made it a war of survival for TDF by involving a country, a neighboring country. That was the biggest mistake by Abiy Ahmed. So they have morale, they have method as well. I have been using three words: method, morale, momentum. They have method, they have morale, and now they have momentum too. You can counter them. We'll talk about it in some next video, how you can counter TDF. Why do you think Abiy is not using TB2 drones? First of all, we don't know if Abiy has TB2 or not. He has Muhajir 6, did not deliver. He has Wing Long 1, which he is using, but again with limited results. TB2, we don't know, or if Ethiopian government has them or not. Apart from drones, you need operators, you need experienced operators, you need boots on the ground as well. More than 10 airstrikes have been carried out on Tigray so far. But 10 airstrikes could not stop TDF from advancing. TDF is in Dessie. So airstrikes, drone strikes alone don't work. Again, it's one of my positions since day one when airstrikes started, that airstrikes alone don't work. They must be coupled with ground operations. Ethiopian Air Force was conducting just airstrikes on Tigray, so very limited results. They were not in a position to launch ground operation. So they could not put any considerable amount of pressure upon TDF. Robson says, how are you, brother? I'm a newcomer. Welcome, Robson. I'm fine. How are you? How do you Amharic news get translated? First of all, I stay in touch with people, with viewers from both sides. Ethiopian government supporters, Amhara viewers, Tigrayans, Oromos, all stay in touch with me. I frequently talk to them. It's not difficult for me to get things translated. Then there are some tools as well. You can use tools too. But I always try to confirm a development from both sides. I never rely on one side. Heftom, Tigrave, hi brother. What do you think TDF has to do to get food access? TDF needs a corridor with Sudan or with Djibouti. So, will TDF move towards Western Tigray, towards Djibouti Ethiopia road? That remains to be seen. But to lift the siege, TDF needs Western Tigray. Militarily, what would be the best strategy for TDF from Dessie and Kambolcha onwards? What do you think? Purely militarily, should TDF move towards Addis, Djibouti Ethiopia road, Gojam, Bahirdar, or Western Tigray? What's your take? Then I'll tell you about my analysis. Okobai, hi, 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 hi. You have said hi 7 times, I think. What's the plan B if TDF fails to capture Dessie? It will keep on hitting Dessie. This is TDF's fourth attempt to take Dessie. Third, I think. Yes, third attempt. So if it has to withdraw from Dessie, it will come again. It will keep on hitting Dessie. Sikota is under TDF control. Let me say a few words about TDF's next strategy. Militarily, should TDF go for Addis Ababa, Ethiopia Djibouti road, Gojam, Bahirdar, Western Tigray? TDF has a bad experience of moving towards Ethiopia Djibouti road. Terrain is very flat, open, susceptible, vulnerable to drone strikes, air strikes, and we do know that Ethiopian Air Force can hit TDF. TDF might not move towards Ethiopia Djibouti road. Addis Ababa is far away from Dessie. It's far away. It's Mekelle, Dessie, and Dessie Addis distance is almost equal. It's far away from here. TDF needs a corridor as soon as possible. If you remember, a World Food Program director said a few days ago that I don't see the people of Tigray survive. Taking Addis will take time. TDF does not have time. Its people of Tigray are in need of immediate relief. Immediate relief can come if TDF somehow takes control of Western Tigray. So either it can launch a direct offensive on Western Tigray from Shire, or it can move towards Bahirdar, Gojam. Instead of entering Oromia, TDF can move towards Gojam, towards Bahirdar, to lay siege to Amhara region. OLA can help TDF. Both can move towards Gojam, Bahirdar. Entire Amhara region would be under siege, and TDF can move towards Western Tigray from Shire. Siege of Amhara region could make TDF gain advantage, and we could see TDF making inroads into Western Tigray. So far, TDF has made gains in Amhara only, viewers. It could not make considerable gains in Afar. Oromia is a new territory for TDF. We don't know what will happen in Oromia. TDF might continue its momentum which it has in Amhara. It can move towards Bahirda or Gondar and towards western Tigray to break the siege. It can happen in my view. But again, strategy is to be made by TDF generals, seasoned generals. What they will do, we don't know. Itisa Fuldora, hi, my trusted only media and our mature journalist Sajid. Thank you. Addis is a long way to go. TDF might not go for Addis, though most of viewers, most of supporters of TDF, they are talking about Addis, that next stay is Addis. TDF's next target, its next stop will be Addis Ababa. But I think TDF should not go for Addis Ababa now. Its first priority should be how to lift the siege which Tigray is under. And for that, it will have to put pressure, more pressure upon Amhara region. It will have to move towards western Tigray. It has a momentum on its back in Amhara region. It can continue this momentum. And second option could be Ethiopia-Djibouti road. TDF might make another attempt to cut off this road. Will Eritrea intervene? We don't know. Yes, they have made some deployments along Tigray-Eritrea border, near Badme, Zalambasa, in other areas. They have made some deployments. Their heavy weaponry is deployed there as well. Is this deployment offensive or defensive? That remains to be seen. Will Eritrea intervene or not? It's $1 million question, very difficult to answer it. Anything can happen. Honestly, I am unable to say for sure what Eritrea will do. Someone is saying if Tigray Defense Force takes back Western Tigray, even then it would be dependent on Sudan. Yes, they'll be dependent on Sudan, but at least they will have, at least their neighbor would not be the one which has been fighting them. Other neighbors, Tigray's neighbors, Afar, Amhara, Eritrea, they're part of this war. So they want a neighbor which was not part of this war. In terms of having a neighbor, Sudan is a better choice than Eritrea. Sudan is a better choice than Amhara as well, than Afar as well. All these regions, Afar, Amhara, and Eritrea, they were part of this war. Dessie is saying melee is the key. Yes, ideal scenario for TDF would be to take control of melee, to cut off Jammu-Ethiopia road. But they have a bad experience of this, of their intention to capture this place. And you saw that they did not move towards, from Shifra. They took Shifra, I think, a week ago. They did not move from Shifra towards Mile. Instead, they moved towards Kambolcha, towards Bati. after taking Dessie and Kambolcha, yes, they might move towards Mille. Uh, it can happen, but keeping in view Ethiopian Air Force newly purchased drones, this offensive could be, it might meet with precise airstrikes, drone strikes. So now they would like to play it safe, I think. Ethiopia Djibouti road could be a difficult target for them once again. Someone is asking about what happened in previous wars in Dessie. The Dessie fell and then governments fell. So they say that if Dessie falls, there is no way that Ethiopian government can survive. And some people refer to Italian intervention in Ethiopia, other wars as well. I don't see Ethiopian government collapse even after the fall of Dessie. Yes, they will be weakened. They are weakened, but they'll fight. Why? Because all regions, all ethnic groups, they have united against Tigray People Liberation Front. TDF will have to do more to fire to remove PM Abiy from office. Just capturing Dessie wouldn't be enough. How does a Sudan coup affect Tigray? Yes, important question. Last question before I wrap this session, before I end this session. Sudan coup started, or you can say that it was planned after Sudan's military started. It backed protests in eastern Sudan. Bija tribe, backed by Sudanese military, it started protests in eastern Sudan. The tribe was backed by Eritrea as well. Sudanese government could not handle these protests. There was a situation, law and order incidents. Sudanese military staged a coup. It means the Bija tribe, backed by Eritrean government, is on board with Sudanese military. Now, when Sudanese military is in command, when it's in power in Sudan, it means that Eritrean intervention will increase in eastern Sudan. Bija tribe will be more powerful. It's not a good news for Tigray, I think. It's not a good news for Tigray that Sudanese military has taken power. Because military is aligned with Bija tribe, and Bija tribe is backed by Eritrea. So I do not see it a positive development for Tigray. Viewers, 50 minutes have passed. This is the longest live chat session. I think we should now end this live chat session. Thank you for joining. I tried to respond to your questions, as many as I could. I took your questions. Thank you for joining. See you in the next live chat session on next Saturday. Thank you. Bye bye.